Welcome to my channel. My name is Taka. Today I am going to talk to you about looking after yourself as well as mistakes that can happen if you don't look after yourself. So I have one good example today that obviously is my own experience. So I will be discussing this to show you how important it is to look after yourself. Let's get right into the content of today's video. I was a band 5 working in a chemotherapy day unit, and I had a few patients as we all get allocated, first thing in the morning. One of my patients came in, everything was done. We checked his bloods, he'd been seen by the doctor, all the stuff that you would normally do before you start a chemotherapy on a patient. We checked it and it was all okay. We went, obviously we did all our five rights. We did those, we checked on the patient, and obviously my colleague then left me putting up the chemotherapy, which I did. I left my patient, he was fine, everything was okay. And then I went to my next patient, attended to him, and finished with that one. And I was now preparing for the next patient. Then I had this other patient now calling me back saying, "Oh, can you come and disconnect me? I am finished." This chemotherapy medication was meant to have gone through, it was an intravenous drug that was supposed to go in for 2 hours, and now this is about 45 minutes, and this gentleman is calling me to say, "Oh, the chemotherapy is finished." So I was like, "Okay, I'll come and see you, but are you feeling okay? Is everything okay?" And before I went to the nurse in charge, I just asked one of my colleagues to go and double check on this gentleman and just do a full set of observations, so I will be able to see whether everything was fine with him. And then I went to then tell the nurse in charge after I'd looked at his bag and realized that actually, yes, his bag of chemotherapy had only a drop left in it. So yeah, I went to the nurse in charge to say, "Look, this is the situation." So the nurse in charge, she was really calm. So she just took me aside, said, "Okay, that's fine. We will go together." We explained to the patient what happened, and we just check his obs again, and then we'll come back. And then, so before we went, obviously, to speak to the patient, we looked at his observations. They were stable. We called the doctor, told the doctor what had happened, and they said, "Okay, that's fine, just keep him for the duration of the chemotherapy that he was meant to be there for, and then they're gonna come and see him." He was fine. We did his observations, we checked them for the 2 hours that we had him, we then checked them for the remainder of the time regularly, and they were fine. And we spoke to the doctors again, they came, they saw the patient, he was fine. They discharged him home, and I had to make a documentation in his medical notes, and I had to do an incident form as well to say this is what's happened. And then after that, I had to meet up with my manager, and we spoke about this incident. So let's talk about this incident. How did this incident happen? At that point, we had a daughter who we were running around, dropping off from school, or if there was issues, one of us had to leave work, run and pick her up, or there was all sorts going on in my life, and I had other things going on. When you a nurse and you're an international nurse, you've got parents back home. There was so much stress going on and other things going on, and I also didn't have a self-care routine where I would look after myself after, when I'm off work. I would just be constantly going. You've got housework, you've got the child to look after. So there was just so much constantly going on, but I never sat back to really look at my life and look after myself. So I had to sit down and reflect on the whole situation and come up with a plan to look after myself. It is important for you to regularly sit down with yourself on your days off. Have some time for yourself, with yourself, not with anyone else, but with yourself. This allows you the time to just see how well you're coping with what's happening around you and what's happening in your own life. because we all need that. I think a lot of times we underestimate just that power of being alone. You don't want to end up like me making this mistake. The problem that comes with that is if you don't look after yourself, you don't know what sort of an error you're going to make. I made this error, which I am not saying it's a good error, or I made this error, but at least the only thing that was wrong with this was I put the time shorter than what is supposed to have been. But imagine if this error was giving the patient the wrong drug that they are allergic to. Imagine what this could have caused to this patient. Look after yourself, and I hope that you will really take it from this video to see, from my experience, that you really need to look after yourself. Take your breaks at work. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.